In this video, we'll be showing you how you can reupholster your car seats. And today, we're going to be working on my 1991 Nissan 300zx 2+2. I've never reupholstered seats, but my dad pitched the idea that we should do it ourselves. These chairs have seen better days. With these being the original seats, they are made of genuine leather and wasn't treated properly. The alternative is that you can get sports racing seats so that they sit you down and they hold you in. I'm more a fan of the original, and by the looks of them, they already look pretty sporty. And my dad said that he was able to help me reupholster, so that's what we're gonna do. The first step is to remove the seats. Each seat has 4 bolts holding it in place, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. For the bolts in the back, recline the seat forward. The rear bolts have plastic covering them, but they can simply pop off. Clean up any trash that could be in your way. Once you get all the bolts off, take out the chair. When you're pulling out chairs, you gotta be careful because this chair had one little wire and I kinda just yanked it, but good thing it didn't rip or anything. And you can find yourself some money too. 10, 20, 30. Got myself $1.40. While you're at it, it's a good idea to clean out any trash from under or behind the seats. In case you're those kind of people that always loses their bolts, what you can do is when you grab them and you take them out, you can put them back in the original position so that you don't lose them. Same thing with these. Now just repeat on the other seat. There we go. See how it moves now? Up, down, up, down, up, down. There's a high chance that the driver's seat will be a lot heavier than the passenger seat because the driver's seat has all the electronic motors and fancy gadgets underneath. With all the money in there, I found this. This is a bent dime. Now that both front seats are out, let's deal with the back seats. With the back, there are 2 loops that you lift up and then bring down towards you. If you have an amplifier like me and it's attached to the back seat of the car, you can just take it off and then get to the rest of the back seat. Now you have to find the bolts that attach the back seats. In this case, there are 2 at each end, but in this car, the black carpeting is preventing us from getting to those bolts, so it needs to be removed. It's being held with little plastic tabs which just pop off. Once you get the carpet off the back seat, you can take off the 4 bolts holding the whole thing in place. This is an example of why you should use a socket rather than a screwdriver. There we go, look at that. Now take off the bottom part of the back seats. This one took a while because of the 2 hidden plastic tabs that attach to the frame of the car. Once you have gutted your interior, I recommend you give your carpet a deep clean and vacuum. I only vacuumed because I didn't have time that day. One useful thing that helps me with tough pieces that get stuck in the fibers of the carpet is a hard bristled brush to lift up the dirt and tiny pieces. The driver's seat, passenger seat, and back seats out of the car, we can get to work. Real quick, these little clips are what hold the leather in place, and with the 2 front seats, they might be a little complicated because of the curves it has, but that shouldn't stop us. But now, here's the rundown of the whole project. The basic idea is that the seats are divided into 4 separate wraps: the middle, sides and backing, the headrest, and the bottom seat. But the one thing that holds these wraps together are staples and wires. I recommend using a set of small bolt cutters which help out a lot. You should expect to find these clips here in the center, under the sides, under the headrest, on the bottom of the seat, in between the folds of the seat. You'll find them everywhere, but all you have to do is snap them off and remove them, and it should free the wrap off the foam cushion of the seat.
So then you'll be left with a leather cover for the seat and a seat with just foam. Once you have the wrap off the body, you're going to use a seam ripper to rip the seams and threads that hold all the pieces together. Once you have an individual square or shape, trace it on the back of the new material. In this case, I'm going with a red vinyl material. Then you cut out the shape. Once you have the shape from the new material, you're going to trace it again on some thin foam. We went with a 1/2 inch foam. This adds more cushion to the seat. Then you cut the shape you traced from the foam. You should be left with 2 pieces of the same shape, one made with the new material and one foam shape. Then you're going to spray the back sides of both with a spray glue meant for fabric, and then bind them together. Once you've made all the shapes that cover the wrap, you sew them together and you got yourself a new seat cover. If you don't know much about sewing like myself, find a relative or friend who knows a thing or two and has a proper sewing machine for the job. My sewing machine master is my own father. First up, we are going to work on the driver's seat, which is essentially the same as the passenger seat, so same steps apply. Because this is a driver's seat, remove any and all extra pieces like the remote control, seat adjuster, seat belt buckle, plastic trim. With this seat, it has a knob and lever for adjusting the seat's comfort. The lever has a pin that you just take out, and the knob has a cap that you just pop out, exposing a Phillips head screw. Now remove all the clips that hold the fabric in place. There's clips under the seat and in the middle once you take off the center piece. It's gonna take a while. Once you have all the staples removed, you should be able to remove the leather cover off the seat. You might want to remove the headrest before taking off the big cover. Also, the big cover and center cover are covered with a zipper, which you can just unzip and you're home free. You should have 3 separate pieces: big cover, center cover, and the headrest.
I'm gonna save you the time, and I just removed all the staples. It's basically the same procedure. There might be a little few more staples, but at the end of the day, this is what you get. So you should get this, and you should get this. Once you have the covers removed, you're going to use a seam ripper to rip the seams that hold all the squares together. You'll notice we write on the patterns and make markings that connect with the rest so that we know where the pieces go. Then you trace the old patterns onto the back side of the new material. We taped down the pieces so that they wouldn't be moving around. I recommend you draw at least 1/2 inch bigger than the original one, just so you won't be making it too tight if anything. Once you've traced all the pieces, you can cut it out. Then you're going to trace that newly cut piece onto 1/2 inch foam and cut the foam. Then you get your favorite spray adhesive and spray the back side of the material and foam. Make sure you read the instructions for your spray glue. The company that made the glue will know the best way to use it and what will get you the best results. Then you should just apply and pat down to ensure it's on there good. Next is putting all the pieces back together. If you didn't realize by now, this is just one big puzzle. I used pins to put together the pieces, and I would give it to my dad so that he could sew it all together. Once you've sewed all the pieces of the cover, you're done with one out of however many you have left. In this case, we need 3 more to go. Oh yeah.
With all the other covers, it's basically the same thing. Rip the seams that hold the pieces together, draw and cut for the new material, make the foam for the piece, pin, sew, and admire. After a few days of getting all the covers put back on the actual foam seat, this is how the driver's seat turned out. In terms of putting the covers back, you will need to add new clips back on where you originally cut them off. So from the bottom, the sides, the middle, the clips allow the material to stretch into place for the seat. If you want to do what I did and have a custom embroidery design, contact your local embroidery shop on how to get a proper design on your seat. In this case, I went with Japanese lettering that make out the word Fair Lady Z, because this is an iconic Z straight out of Japan. Now on to the back seats, which is basically the same steps. This was much easier because the back seats are mostly made up of simple shapes rather than unique curves from the driver's seat. Once you're finished with all of your seats and you're satisfied with the new material on your seats, you take them back into the car, bolt them up properly with the same bolts, and you are done. I really like the way these seats turned out. It was a lot of work and a lot of time, but we were able to pull through, and the results are amazing. I would especially like to thank my dad for helping me and putting up with me this entire process. Now, if your seats were as bad as mine, take into consideration. Save yourself a couple $100 and do the reupholstery yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.